Hi everyone, it's Tammy, and today we're going to do a knit with me. I think that's a funny name, Nitwit, so I'm kind of playing on that just because I think it's funny. So a knit with me. We are going to make a bonnet, or actually it's just a hat. They call it a bonnet because they did a little different stitch on it than we're going to do. But for this you need a pattern. So I have a free pattern that I got from Athena Knits, and it's called the Pom Pom Bonnet, so that's why I called it a bonnet, and it's going to look like this. And then you're also going to need, according to the pattern, it says that we need a size 13 circular needle, and then it also says a size 13 double pointed needles. I'm not going to use those, but I am going to use a 16-inch circular, I don't know what this is called, but the little thing that holds the circular needles, we're going to use that. And then if you want to use a stitch marker, you can. So I have some of those. You're going to need a tapestry needle, so I have those. And then I also have a needle threader and a key for my particular interchangeable circular needles. And then I have a super chunky, this is Lion brand Hometown USA yarn, and you can see it's super chunky, and I'm using the color Savannah Sage, and I'm just going to make this cute hat. So I'm going to turn you guys around so that you can see what I'm doing, and I will explain it as I go to kind of help get started. This isn't going to necessarily teach you the knitting stitches. I've done some videos with those already, but I wanted to do a knit with me, so I thought that would be fun. So here we go. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my interchangeable needles on, and all you do for this particular one is just screw them in to the strand. I'm so bad with all of these terms, I still don't say it all correctly, I know. And then the key is used to make sure it's secure. So you just, there's a little hole in the strand portion. I just hold that and then I just twist, just to make sure that it is on there as tight as it can be. Well, maybe not as tight as it can be, but it's on there really tight and won't come loose. And it makes a smooth connection, mostly. It's not too bad. And then I'm just going to store this in with my needles, and I won't need this until the very end, and I won't need this until the very end. I will go ahead and get a large stitch marker, and I'm just going to make sure that these fit over my needle, and they do, so that's good. Alright, and then I need to find the end of my yarn, and luckily, oh no, I was going to say luckily it's right on top, but as you can see, this is pulling from the outside. I think you can see that. Where is it? So it's pulling from right here. And then see how it's going to be pulling from the outside here. I don't want that one. I want a different one. I want one that will start in the center and pull out. So luckily it was right there with it. It's not always that easy to find, but in this case it was, so thank goodness. Now sometimes it gets twisted, and this is an issue you'll have to fight with the yarn. And that's frustrating because when you're first starting out, it can make it very disheartening. So please, if you are new to knitting, don't give up just because the yarn is crazy, because sometimes the yarn is just crazy. And now I don't remember. I think that's the outside one. And this is the inside one. And sometimes it will all come out in a big bunch. And you'll probably see that in a minute. Well, goodness gracious, see how that's happening? Okay, so what I'm going to do when this happens, and this is, I always say crafting in real life, this is knitting in real life, crafting in real life, and it's all bunched up in there. Sometimes you have to take your needle and kind of unknot it. And sometimes what I do is I just, if the ball's going to be crazy like it seems like it's going to be, I will just take it and I'm just going to roll it into a ball. So I will fast forward me doing that because honestly that's just kind of a pain. I'm just going to take this off And as soon as I can get to a good point so that I think that you guys have seen exactly what I'm doing, because I know that this part can be frustrating sometimes, and I know sometimes you're just like, whatever, I'm just going to give up because this is just dumb. Not all yarn is like that, and I don't know, I haven't figured out like if there's a particular brand that's better than another. It's just some gets knotted and some doesn't, and I don't know why. Usually the bigger, like this, the chunky yarn, it's at least easy to get it unknotted most of the time. I'll say that, and then this time it'll be all stuck in there. So as you can see, and see, sometimes it forms a little knot in itself like that, and that can sometimes be the problem. But even if it does that, I just go ahead, and this is my end, and yeah, it's still pulling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unstick this the best I can. And then I think what I will do is pull it from the outside, if I can. See, now I'm kind of making even a bigger mess. Don't give up. And I'm not fast forwarding yet because I want you guys to see how this is all part of it. And some days you're the windshield and some days you're the bug, and you just got to keep on keeping on. And of course it happens because I'm trying to show you guys, and of course it was super easy to find the start, so I'm thinking, oh good, we're in good shape, and then this happened. So it's just yarn. It will be okay. It just sometimes will take longer than you expect it to, and it'll be a little frustrating trying to get it all. And if you want to know the truth, I have cut it before and just knotted it back together. That's not ideal, but when if you have a skein of yarn and it runs out of yarn, and they are from the manufacturer, and they're still putting more on the ball, they will knot it together. So that's what made me think, well, I guess if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. And that might just be less expensive yarn. I don't really know. I don't use much of the really expensive stuff. In my head, I wouldn't spend that much on a hat or a sweater or whatever I'm making, so I definitely don't want to spend that much and have to make it. So I try to find inexpensive yarns. You guys have seen some of my hauls probably, and if you haven't, you should check them out, because I do try to give good places that I like to get their yarn, and I try to shop a little bit frugally, although it's not so frugal when you buy as much as I sometimes tend to buy, but I like having my stash. So I'm literally just pulling this yarn, and if I were doing this, if I weren't on camera doing this, I would be watching TV or listening to a book or watching YouTube. I would be doing something like that so that I'm not just sitting here doing yarn. But this does happen. This is not, I would be lying if I told you that this has never happened to me, because it does. Okay, so when I find that I'm at kind of a spot that has a lot of yarn, I go ahead and start rolling this into a ball. So to do that, I just hold it and then literally just start wrapping it around my fingers until I get a really big yarn ball. Like that. And then I'm going to take it off my fingers and try to figure out, wrap it the other way and work on this. It is just crazy. This one is a bad one. So much for the knit with me, huh? The yarn's a Nitwit. But it's a pretty color. I think that it will make a neat hat. Okay, here's the other end. So let me start unraveling that way if I can. Oh, that's not the end. This is it. This is it. Okay, I think I will speed this up so that you guys can just kind of see what I'm doing now that it's a little bit under control, a little bit. And it's still a mess, but we're getting there. So I will fast forward this. Well, that took way longer than I wanted it to, but any time is longer than you want it to, really. So I am going to go ahead and follow the instructions for casting on, and it says to cast on 45 stitches, and I am going to guesstimate about how much I will need, and I may have to cast on again. I don't know. We shall see. So I'm going ahead and making a slip knot, and then I'm going to cast on, and I know that I do have some video on this. So that's 1, 2, and this is the long tail cast on method. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, oh, I'm gonna need more, 16, yeah, I'm gonna need more. So let me just take that off, find out where I was. This is where I had it, and I'm gonna need more than that, so I'm just going to take another arm length, and we'll try it here. Oops. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, oops, I messed that up, 26, oh no, I'm getting too far down, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. Well, now I have too much. 44. 45. And look, I have all of this left over. How did I do that? Okay, so instead of, I'm going to go ahead and do it again because I don't want to have that much as my on the end and waste that much. So I'm just going to pull it off, and this time I will shorten it up. So this is the one that I need to shorten. Shorten. Okay, this is where it was. And hopefully this one will work okay. Sorry, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. I feel like the count. 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Gosh, I still have a lot, but I'm just going to leave it this time. 41, 42, 43, 44. I don't know how I have this much left over, so I'm going to cut this because I don't need this much left over. I'm just going to cut it about there. I can maybe use this at the end for my pom-pom if I can use that. Okay, so now that I have 44 stitches on here, you want to make sure that all of the edging is facing the same direction. And that does not look like it's going to be big enough to fit over a head, but it expands, trust me. It will adjust. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe put something white down here so that you guys can see this a little better. Hopefully. Okay, so I'm just leaving that out so that I can see it. Oh, I already got one of those out, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay, so I just need one of these, and I'm going to put it here. And this is called the working yarn, the one that's attached to your ball or your skein or whatever. And this is just the extra. So that one just kind of hangs there and kind of you just put it out of the way. And then you're going to start to knit this in the round. So that's part of the beauty of having these kind of needles that are, you know, connected with a cable. And so make sure that you have your working yarn out, and we're going to just adjust these all the way around. And you're going to start by knitting, and you're just going to put it in here just to knit, And let me get this one out of the way. There we go. And I am knitting the first one, and that will start the connection. So now the row is connected. So that's why you want to make sure that there's no twists, because if it were twisted like this, and if this didn't match up, then you would end up with a wonky and you'd have to take it all apart. So, and it says to knit one, purl one until you get to the last stitch and then knit one. So I'm going to knit one, and then I'm going to purl one, and I have directions for all of this I have a knitting playlist, and I believe all of those should be in there. So I'm not really giving you a tutorial on how to knit and how to purl in this video. But we're just doing it over and over and over. Knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. So when you're doing with the circular needles, you need to continuously kind of push it with your hands. You kind of push this one down and you kind of push this one up. Purl, knit, purl, knit. I want to get to the end of the row and then start the next row to show you what I'm doing here. Knit, purl, and we're just going to follow this same pattern, the knit, the purl, the knit, the purl, the knit, the purl, for the whole brim of the hat. So you can make your hat brim however long or however wide you want it to be. I think this one says about 3 inches, and that's probably about standard, especially for this chunky yarn. And the pattern that they have is made to hold a ponytail, so it has a little, they don't start it out in the round, but I'm not going to do the ponytail thing. I just want it to be a cute hat with no ponytail hole. My husband loves green, but I think that this would be too feminine for him, in my head, at least the way that I'm picturing it right now. So I have someone else in mind for this. My friends are going to get sick of me, though. They're not going to want any more hats or scarves. But I know about me that if somebody requests something and I don't feel like doing it, I never will. It's so crazy. I'm kind of weird like that. Like, I could be making 6,000 scarves and have fun and have fun and have fun doing it, and then the minute somebody says, oh, can you make me one of these? I will be like, oh, no, this isn't fun anymore. I don't know why I'm like that. It's so weird. So, I don't know. I need to figure that out for myself. That's why I can't like sell things or any of that, because I'm afraid that if I made something really cute and then I put it out there to sell, if somebody else wanted one, like I sold the one that I had and somebody else wants one, I would have to make it again, obviously, and that is never fun for me. Even with cards that I love to do, like I like to do them when I want to do them, but then when somebody else wants me to do it, it becomes a chore, and then that's no fun. So I don't know. I am doing hats for charity, so that's good. but I might be making some stuff that I don't know who to give it to or what to do with it, and maybe I will put them on an Etsy shop. I have an Etsy shop that I just don't have, it's dormant right now. So there's a possibility I could do that, but I don't know. Oh, did I mess up? Hold on, let me check. Was that supposed to be knit, purl? Yes, this is a knit. And then a purl. Oh, maybe that wasn't. And then I'm going to just transfer my stitch marker over, and then I'm going to start with a purl over here, so that it's opposite from what it was. So I have a purl where I knitted and a knit where I purled. And I remember I even went over how to tell if it's a knit or a purl stitch from looking at it, so you can tell the difference between a knit and a purl. And just so you guys know, a purl stitch has the little bump and a knit stitch has a little V. So the way that I learned was that a purl stitch looks like it has a little scarf over it, and you could think burr and purl, and it kind of makes you remember that the burr is the purl, so it has the scarf, and then the knit has the V. So this was a knit, or sorry, this was a purl, knit, so then my next one is a purl. And then a knit. And I'm gonna just do this all the way around for another couple of rounds, and I'm just going to start off at the opposite of what I started off before. So every stitch that was a knit is now going to get a purl, and then the next row it will be a knit again. So I'm just going opposite what I did the row before. So hopefully that will make sense, and I will be back after I have done a couple more rounds. So I will see you in just a minute. Okay, so welcome back, and I have knitted the brim of the hat, and it measures about 2 3/4 inches, and I don't want to do another one. I think that this is long enough. So I did a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows to make the brim using this super chunky yarn. So I'm back at the beginning, and I know that because I have my little space holder, and I'm going to move that over, and then I'm just going to simply knit, and I'm going to knit the whole body of this, and they say to do that until the piece measures about 8.5 inches. Nope, sorry, 9.5 inches. So that would mean I need to do about 7 inches more approximately. So I'm just going to do that, and I do have another thing of yarn if I'll need it, so we'll see. And then after I've done the whole body, then we're going to start making the crown, which means we're going to decrease the size of it like, you know, a hat is. So I will show you all of that once we get there. So right now I'm just knitting, 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 and because we're knitting in the round, we don't ever have to purl on the other side or anything. I just knit, just simply knit. So this is pretty easy, and it's a fun little stitch project to do, and you can do it while watching TV. If you have some experience knitting, it won't take long for you to be able to just do it by feel, especially with this big chunky yarn. So you can just kind of pull up the one stitch and then just knit away. And right now I have my eyes closed, you guys can't see that, but I was kind of trying to show you what I mean. You can just do it by feel. It's crazy how it works and how quickly your hands just kind of pick up what they need to do. So you can just knit, knit, knit away. And I am not a super speedy knitter. I don't even know if I'm average speed yet, but I'm getting there. And I also knit, I think they call this English knitting, I don't know. It's not continental, so it's whatever else there is, where I hold the yarn in my right hand or in my dominant hand instead of like in my left hand, which would be quicker. Continental knitting, from what I understand, is quicker. And I also totally remove my hand to do the stitch, which from what I understand too makes it take even longer. But you know, it's the way that I know how to do it. It's the way that I'm comfortable doing it. I may try to learn another way just to try to get a little speedier with it, but until then I am good with it. I've watched some videos and I've tried to do it the continental way, and I'm just really bad at it right now. And I know that practice makes perfect. I mean, I was really bad at it this way until I practiced it for a while. So, you know, just, oh, I came to that. I just moved the stitch marker over and continue to knit. So I am going to do that. And it's probably going to take a little bit of time. I don't know. I'm not in a hurry. And so if I don't come back today with this project, I will leave it and make sure that I come back. I won't finish it without you guys. So I'm just going to work on the body, and then I will bring you back when I am ready to move on to the crown. At least I think I will. Maybe I'll show you what this looks like a little bit into it. And you can see how the brim gave it a really cool little like bubbly texture. So you can see how the brim is just kind of bumpy. That's from all of those purl stitches. And so I guess what I'll do is I'll bring you back in just a little bit so you can see how the knit stitches are going and how it's looking. But this is a really easy pattern, and it's really cool. I think that I will really like it, and I hope that you guys do too. So I will continue knitting and show you in a little bit. Okay guys, so I have been working on this, and I have this much done, and it measures about, let's see here, about 8 inches. And this does say to go for 9 inches, but I'm going to just go 8 inches because you do 5 more rows. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be another this far. And honestly, I think that that will be tall enough. And I want to make sure that I have enough yarn to hopefully still make a ball for the top. So, and I may have another skein of this. I kind of think that I do. I don't see it easily. So I'm not sure if I do or not, but honestly, I like it when you can make one thing with one skein sometimes. So we're just going to go with it. So I'm just finishing up this last knit stitch. And then here is my transfer. So now I'm going to be on row 1 of the crown. And it says to knit 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then it says to SSK, which means slip, slip, knit. So to do that, you slip these just like you were going to be doing a knit stitch. So that just means I put it over on this side, and then I put it over on this side. And then you bring it back to the left needle and you knit it. And that will decrease your row by 1 stitch because there are 2 stitches on this 1 stitch. And then knit 1, and then knit 2 together, which just means to take 2 and knit it just like you would 1, only you're putting 2 stitches on 1. That's another decrease. And then I knit 3, and then I repeat this 3 more times to go all the way around. And all right. so following along, we do knit 1, 2, 3, and then slip, slip, and then knit, and then knit 1, and then knit 2 together, and then knit, oops, and then knit 3. 1, 2, 3, 1. Oops, I messed up on that one. 2, 3, slip, slip, knit, erg, knit 1, knit 2 together, and then I'm going to just knit to the end, and then row 2, we knit 1, knit 2, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 1, knit 2, and then slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2, knit 1, knit 2, and then slip, slip, and knit, now some people would say it's time to switch to the double-sided or double-pointed needles, which is something that they did say that you need for this. I don't have the double-pointed needles that would be the size that I would need for this, so I'm just going to try to continue to do it on these. I don't know that I would recommend that. If you have something different, then you might want to use something different, but I am using what I have and what I am comfortable doing, so sometimes I have to play with it a little bit to make it the way that I can use it, but I mean, it works. So knit 2, and then S, S, and K. And then knit 1, knit 2 together, and knit 2, and then row 3, is knit 1, S, S, Okay. Knit one, knit two together, knit one, and then slip and slip and knit, and then knit one, and then knit two together, and then knit one, knit one, oh, I wasn't supposed to knit that last one. Oops. Pull that out. And that's called a tink when you have to do that. It's knitting spelled backwards. Or knit spelled backwards. Oh, why am I knitting it again? This is supposed to be a knit two together. And then a knit one. And a knit one. And a slip. Slip. Knit. And then a knit one. And then a knit two together. Knit one. Do this. And this. Okay, I'm going to take this off now. And I think I am going to just knit two together. 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 I'm just doing that around and around. Let me see how many stitches I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think I'm going to call that good for this one because I'm going to put a pom-pom on the top. So what I'm going to do is thread a needle. So you want to get one that has a pretty good hole in it. And then I like to use a needle threader, especially for this big yarn, but actually for any yarn. And so here's my needle threader. I just put my needle on there, and then I cut this. And thread this. So then now my needle is threaded, and then I'm going to take it from where I left off and continue around and just pick up each one of these stitches on my needle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now that I have all of the loops threaded through my yarn, I can take the sticks out, the knitting needles, and then I'm just going to pull, and that's going to create the top, and it makes it so that it will close shut when you pull this. So now what I need to do is kind of thread this through, and I just like to go around the top, and I'm going to put it back inside so that it's going to be on the inside. And I know that this is probably a faux pas for you really big needle or knitters, but I tie it into a knot because I want to make sure that it stays secure, and I know that that's a faux pas, but if you guys are that concerned about it, then don't do it. But I don't mind having a knot in an inconspicuous spot. And then I'm just going to trim that off. And that's what the top of it looks like. And the sides, there's a little bit of fluff on this stitch just from the yarn itself, but I'm going to try to pull it to the back. Oh, I think I can even pull it off. There we go. There, that looks better. There's another little piece right here. But see how it's like all bobbly down here at the bottom, and then it's nice and knitted at the top. So then I'm going to take this and I am going to thread the needle through this one. So again, I need my needle threader, put my needle on top, and then push this through. And then pull my needle through. And then for this one, I'm going to wind it in and out some of these stitches on the back. And sometimes I will go ahead and tie this in a knot too, just to make sure that it's secure and not going anywhere. But again, that is at your own discretion. That's not the way, from what I understand, true knitters do it. They just like to hide this in their work, which is perfectly fine. But I prefer to make sure that it's secure, so I just like to tie a little knot. and it's inconspicuous. You can't even tell that it's there as far as I'm concerned. And then I'm just going to make sure that I end this so that it's going upward. That way when somebody has it on their head and let's say it pulls, you won't be able to see it on the bottom. So I like to give it a little bit of a yank, cut it there, and then give it a pull so it kind of gets lost in there. And there is our hat. Now if we want to put a thing on the top, I actually have some pom-pom makers. I'm like, what is that called? But I know that you can do it with your hands too. So I'm going to just do that with this because I don't think I have enough to do it with my pom-pom maker. Oh, I might actually. I might have more than I thought. But I'm just wrapping it around as though I were making a ball, but I'm not going to take it off. And then now I'm taking it off and I'm just going to lay it down here, and I'm going to take a piece that I had from extra. Set this down in the middle. And then I'm going to tie this as tightly as I can around. So I'm going to hold that. And I'm going to tie it in a knot. So this time you do want the knot for sure. And then I also like to carry it around to the front and tie it in another knot just to make sure it's secure. So I'm just finding the middle again since it's spread out a little bit. And then I'm going to tie this in a knot as well. And I pull it just as tight as I can get it. Pull it as tight as I can get it, and then pull it as tight as I can get it. And then now you take these and you just cut them pom-pom maker is nice because it does help make them a little closer to all the same length, and then also it helps ensure that you've cut them all. Sometimes when I do it this way, I've found that I accidentally leave some uncut. I'm just making sure that I've cut them all, trying to make sure that I've cut them all. Okay, and then you just kind of clean it up a little bit so that they'll be more the same length. I suppose if you were really good at shaping things, you could shape it into something. Like Edward Scissorhands. There's a unicorn on the top of my hat. A cup of coffee on the top of my hat. A tiger. I'm lucky to get a ball on top of my hat. looks like, oh, see, it is cut. It looks like it wasn't, but it was. It tricked you, or tricked me. Oh, those look a little long. Yeah, if you have a pom-pom maker, you won't be doing this as long. At least I don't seem to be. I'm sure it depends on how picky you want to be. And apparently I want to be kind of picky. I don't know why I'm seemingly taking forever to get this cut the way I want. These seem a little long. And I usually do this over the trash can. I just went to town on that side, so now I'm going to have to cut some more. Poor thing, pretty soon there won't be any yarn on here. It'll be a bald pom-pom. And depending on the size of your hat, you might want a bigger or a smaller pom-pom. You know, just play with them. They're kind of fun to make. Even with the pom-pom maker, they're kind of fun to make. Did you see that one? It wasn't cut all the way through. Alright, I think I'm getting happy with that. I could play with that for days probably, so I gotta just call it done. So let me toss this stuff. I have my little trash can over here, but usually I do this like over the big trash can in the kitchen. I just take my pom-pom and clean it up right there, and that's that. Alright, so now all you have to do is attach the pom-pom to the hat. And I'm going to make this one just a permanent attachment. And so for this, I just take it and I push it through the hole at the top of the hat. So there's like that little hole that my nail is sticking through. I'm going to push both of these through. And I am definitely using my fingernails. And here they are. So I have both of them here holding on to the pom-pom. See that? Now what I like to do is string it at least through one of these, and usually I go through a couple just so that they're not both in the same, like straight through the same hole. That way I can tie a knot again, because I am a believer in knots. I don't have any problem with knots in my knitting. I mean, I have problems with the knots in my yarn, as you saw, but you know what I mean. So now that they're on two different sides of that middle, I can tie this in a knot. And I suppose if you wanted to make it so that somebody could move it or could remove it, you could tie it in a bow there. But I'm just going to leave it in a knot, and then I'm going to cut these. And there is my finished hat. And honestly, I started it today and I finished it today. I started it, gosh, I don't even know what time, including the yarn though debacle that we had at this beginning. I would say that this took me maybe 4 hours to work and complete. So I think that's a really good time and a cute hat. And I'm sure that if you're a faster knitter than me, you can get it done even faster. But yeah, that's it. So I hope that you guys like this kind of video. I might do a few more of these, one of like little nitwit memes. You nitwit. All right, so thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.